All about opening the black man's mind. All about reminding us as how beautiful we are for the near of fire, yeah. Oh, the clothing line features t-shirts, checks, polos and shirts. Oh, dashiki, lady v-neck, lady tank top and baby jeans, yeah. Dresses and
Ikaro, I am Alatumishe Ifabamishe Aganki, better known as MC Duke, and every Monday between the hours of 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. I host a show called Orisha, The Way of Life, right here on the Shit 919 FM, where I have guests passing through from the Orisha Ifa Baptist Diaspora to educate, edify, and inform you, the listening public, about Orisha Ifa practices. So remember to tune in every Monday between the hours of 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. for Orisha, The Way of Life.
But don't be like experience, yeah. Oh, this clothing line is all about opening the black man's mind. All about reminding us as how beautiful we are for the near of fire, yeah. Oh, the clothing line features t-shirts, checks, polos and shirts. Oh, dashiki, lady v-neck, lady tank top and baby jeans, yeah. Dresses and
the views expressed are not necessarily the views of the management of the Street 919 FM.
Yo, Eshu ni korewa, Elekbara ni kobilo, Beleke ni dara oro sawo ile, Eshu ma ṣe mi, ọmọ ele omi, mi ò ṣe, Eshu ma ṣe wa. Eshu deo deo, Eshu deo deo, Beleke, Eshu deo deo, Eshu deo deo, Eshu deo deo. Nobody can take my joy away. I am born to be happy. Everything Orisha supply for me is enough to be jolly. God no need to be worried, no. Cause life is a blessing, no. My life is a blessing, no. Eshu deo deo, Eshu deo deo, Eshu deo deo. Asana. Eshu deo deo, Eshu deo deo, Eshu deo deo. Every morning I awake, I give thanks to my Lord. Eshu Ladui who makes all doors open up for me. Bad energy's no room for you, oh no. All good things I must get through. Ìran ní òṣè, ọ̀la ìlú, èṣùbánikọ̀ ọ̀wọ́ ìlú, òró ìlú, ọ̀la ìlú, ọba ẹ̀bọ̀rà nílẹ̀ kẹ́kẹ́, èsì ìbẹ́bọ̀ orúkún, ẹlẹ́gbàrà ní bẹ́bọ̀ òrùsà, ẹlẹ́gbàrà ní bẹ́bọ̀ orúkún òrùsà, oníbòde. Èṣù deo deo, Èṣù deo deo, Èṣù deo deo. Eshu deo deo, Eshu deo deo, Eshu deo deo, Eshu deo, Eshu deo deo, Eshu deo deo, Eshu deo deo, Eshu deo baba, Eshu deo baba, Eshu deo baba, Eshu deo deo.
Yeah.
Wale wa egungun ibao wale o. Persecution, horrors, Wolewa. When they try to oppress me, humiliate and stop me, Wolewa. I pour libation and send my supplication into the spirit realm. Wolewa. Wolewa. I'm standing strong, never will they let me down, Wolewa. They see my tears, they feel my pain. With patience I'll rise again, Wolewa. I must stay focused to fulfill my purpose, and I will conquer all. Ancestors, rituals or something. Hear us. Come on, hear me.
Obatala yepa o. Yepa. Obatala yepa o. Yepa. Obatala yepa o. Yepa. Obatala yepa o. Yepa. Obatala yepa o. Yepa.
I see mother. I see she. Yo, Alex.
Oh, sell out and buy. 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 Sell out and buy. Sell out and buy.
Wake up in the morning. Sell your sin for grace.
Sell out and buy. 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 Sell out and buy.
Ancestors, we call on you to fight the fight on our behalf. Ancestors, we call on you to walk on our enemies. Asheo. way from Africa land, they coming to walk on them. Walk on them, 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 Yoruba ancestors, 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 walk on them, 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 walk on them. Ancestors, we call on you. Ancestors, we call on you. You came across the middle passage. Ancestors, we call on you. Some have shown up about some have shown. Ancestors, we call on you. From this land of Trinidad, great warriors, we call on you. Walk on them, 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 Yoruba ancestors, 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 walk on them. All the way from Africa land, they come in, they come in. All the way from Africa land, they come in to walk on them. All the way from Africa land, they come in, they come in. All the way from Africa land, they come in to walk on them. Great mother, we call on you. Iwer, we call on you. Your children crying, screaming. Great mother, we call on you. When we bought this libation, we threw it for the nation. From the four corners of Trinidad, great mothers, we call on you. Walk on them, 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 Yoruba ancestors, 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 walk on them. All the way from Africa land, they come in, they come in. All the way from Africa land, they come in to walk on them. All the way from Africa land, they come in, they come in. All the way from Africa land, they come in to walk on them.
Abo Shishe.
Ogbo Atoa Sori Wori Ofun, Ashe.
We are here on the Ifa Orisha Way of Life on the Sheet 919 FM.
Ashe.
You know, it's always a privilege to be here. So we give thanks. We give thanks. We give thanks.
Ashe.
We give thanks for all that Olodumare has granted us.
Ashe.
You know, so we are going to start tonight's program. You know, we have a continuation on abuse on IFA. So we are streaming live on the Sheet 919 FM Facebook page. We are streaming live on YouTube on Iwer TV. And we go straight till 10 p.m. We had a little difficulty, a little technical difficulty. So we apologize for the late start, you know. So we give thanks, we give thanks, we give thanks. So Shaka, you can start with the Iba and let us go down. Let it flow.
I call it Trinidad and Tobago.
Ashe.
So for all of us to be on the same page, when I say the word Iba, it is meaning I give homage or we give homage.
Ashe.
So I say Iba Olodumare.
Ashe.
Iba to our Ori, Iba to our mothers, Iba to our fathers,
Ashe.
Iba to one's ancestors, the ones
Ashe.
that sit at the feet of Olodumare.
Ashe.
Iba to one's Ulowo, one's Iyanifa, one's Ochubona. Iba Orunmela, Barami Agbonerigun,
Ashe.
the witness to one's fate and one's destiny.
Benny.
Iba Oreye Oshun, our sweet mother that continues to sweeten our lives.
Oriye.
Iba Baba Yeshu, the one that opens the road, the one that stands at the crossroads.
Ashe.
Iba Baba Ogun, Ogulakaye Oshimale.
Ashe.
Baba Ogun continue to clear our paths from all negativity, all harm and danger. Clear the pathway of those who are seeking to have a change of life. Iba
Ashe.
Orishana, Obatala.
Ipa Orisha.
Ipa Orisha.
Orisha Ipa.
Ipa Orisha. May Obatala, the king of the white cloth,
Ashe.
the one of wisdom, knowledge, understanding, the one of blessings,
Ashe.
meet us. May the blessings of Abatala meet our Ori.
Ashe.
Iba ye monja continue to nurture us and help us to be nurturers as well. Help us to be teachers wherever we go, wherever we are. May we be a change in our community.
Ashe.
And we ask all of this in no other name but Oludumare's most sacred and bountiful name as we start the Ifa Orisha Way of Life radio program on the Street 919. Myself, King Shaka, alongside my brother Alatumishe. We ask that Olodumare continue to bless us bountifully. Bless the listeners. Bless those who are seeking to log on and get the information. May the blessings meet us. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe.
We give thanks to all Ianifas, all Babalawos, all Omawos,
Benny,
all Olorishas, far and wide in the community of Trinidad and Tobago, the Caribbean, the US, all over the world. We give thanks. I give thanks to my Olori Ogbone Obaye in Nigeria, who is locked on. I give thanks for Arif Alashe, Ubuleti Pumuleri. I give thanks. I give thanks for each and every one. You know, I keep saying, and I will keep saying it over and over, this is our time. The ancestors before us, the great ancestors of this great nation, Trinidad and Tobago, who came before us, whose shoulders we stand on, who paved the way even for this program, the late great Erin Falami,
Benny,
you know, who started, and today as we celebrate Ose Obatala, the mothers, Obaluaye, you know, and ancestors. We must give thanks to our ancestors, those who paved the way and have us in the position. We mustn't take for granted all the hard work that they did and spoil the tradition and spoil the practice, because
facts.
You know, we are young ones. You know, I have my Udu encyclopedia here, you know, my brother.
Your friend.
You know, yeah, my friend, my pal, my buddy, you know. And we have grown and we continue to grow. And we keep asking elders in the community, don't just sit in the background. Get on to us.
Reach us.
Let us have a conversation. Let us make our tradition better and greater. Let us not fight and cause segregation. I give thanks to IAG for the feminine program. I give thanks to Ifa Porere, Sean Singh and Soca TV. You know, I felt good seeing that Soca TV broadcast the ancestral celebration at our Sami space on Saturday. Let us not fight amongst one another, but for the betterment of the community and the tradition, let us balance it and let us go forward. So I always say this, it is not free to run this program on the radio station. It is a privilege to have it on the Street 919 FM every Monday night between 7 to 10. So we ask people in the community, drip by drip, to fill the bucket. Just want to say special good night to Angie St. Paul.
Pleasant night, Angie.
She says greetings to you, Alatumishe, and Mugabe Kenyatta. She really learning him now, boy, Mugabe boy. Lace Peter Ken, you know, shout out all the people who on Facebook streaming. Only Boss Lady Nikki, Lestra Gainja is on, Judy James is on, Alison Baines is on, Oshun Fanilo Elubion, she's on, you know, Orisha Lasse, Ugunlade from Nubian Experience, one of our sponsors.
As well.
Kishon Julian is also on, Harrison Parks, Josan Mitchell, you know. I mean, it was a nice weekend for me, you know. There was celebration by Ababa Awosami on Saturday, and then yesterday at the Kenny Cyrus Akilibulan Kompong in Shoguanas. I had fun. The Orishas, the energy, the vibes, everything was there. You know, I felt good. You know, I felt good. I always good, as we always say here, as I get up on the morning, you give thanks to Uri. You understand? And you give thanks to the Orishas, the ancestors, for all that they have done and all that they continue to do. Even while we are here, we give thanks to Baba Ogun, the Orisha of Iron and Steel and Technology, that everything flows and everything is good with us tonight. We give thanks to our Ori, we give thanks to Baba Obatala Orisha for the calmness and the flow and the pureness within our heart. So as we continue tonight, you know I must pay the bills. We must pay the bills. And we give thanks to all the sponsors. You know, I know it's rough, I know it's tough, but we ask other sponsors, other artists in the tradition to come out, reach out to us, you know what I mean? So we could get your information here. This is prime time. Not just only prime time on radio, but you can stream it and view it on Facebook and on Iwer TV on YouTube. This is the only station in Trinidad that you can get this sort of vibes live. When I say live, I mean live. You know, so we are going to pay the bills and I'm going to come right back at you. It's all about the Ifa Risha Way of Life program on the Shit 919 FM. Sponsors for the Orisha Way of Life. Kamara's Coltesto, the #1 importer and supplier of genuine products from Africa, located at Adams Bazaar Main Road, Shogunas. Contact number 672-8438, 320-8866. Gossip Gel Polish, gel with a difference. Contact number 3827587. Come, let us take care of your feet, Petty by Risi. They also sell butters. Contact number 3984474. Nubian Experience, clothing that tells part of our rich African history. Number 6 Woodford Street, Arima. Contact number 6881979. Oriomi, Nico Loggins, Health and Wealth Lifestyle. Number 73 Eastern Main Road, Barataria. EMG out of Texas. Richie's Tire and Automotive Car Care Center. Number 409 Otello Drive, Hampton, Georgia. Sponsors for the Ifa Orisha Way of Life.
Also sponsored by the Throne of Gold for all your African supplies and clothing. Their contact number is 754-5128. That is the Throne of Gold. You can find them on Facebook and also on Instagram. Omo Inu, All Things Woman. For all your Yoni products, they are the sole women's haven distributor for Trinidad and Tobago. Their contact number is 365-4332. You can find them on Facebook and also on Instagram. Black Tie-Dye Catering Service, 683-8755. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram. Awo Wabande Tonic, 388-4606. You can find them on Facebook and also on Instagram. Ile Josio Turameji, Awo Oshun. Thank you.
Yes, so we back at it here on the Ifa Orisha Way of Life on the Shit 919 FM, streaming on Facebook, Shit 919 FM Facebook page. We also streaming on YouTube on Iwer TV. You know, and we having a discussion, you know, the week before we did Ori, and you know, and we continue discussion from last week Monday on the Ifa's Council on Abuse in the Family. You know, and we went through it. You know, and Shaka elaborated on it and we had a discussion, so we continue. It's a broad experience. Nubian Experience is locked on, always locked on and supporting the Ifa Orisha Way of Life. Right. They also have a program on Gayal too.
Yes.
So we
the
are
Afroview.
The Afroview. So we are going places. Things are happening. Also, they are Ile down at Pity Valley.
Sparrow Drive.
Yeah, when they send Dumari. By Chief Ramfrey, they had some celebrations, you know, some elbows and things. So I say Alafia to that group also. So we continue tonight on the Ifa's Council on Abuse in the Family. So I continue. A good person must love and promote peace, harmony, understanding and development in the community. He or she must be a good social engineer. He or she must be able to perform the following functions. A. See to the welfare of all without discrimination. Avoid confrontation with anyone. Find amicable solution to all issues. Investigate all sides of any issue before taking a decision. Maintains his or her cool and calm and ensure that he or she is not swayed by emotions or sentiments. Stands resolute and resists the temptation to succumb to pressure. Consult with all groups, both young and elders, and identify with positive aims and objectives. Manage crisis, failures, and success. Apply good sense of judgment to benefit himself herself, his or her groups, in his or her community and the society at large knows when to and when not to delegate authorities. All these will increase the worth and value of a good partner in his or her community. This is where it is mandatory for good partners to infect his or her community with his or her good deeds. Many more of this can be found in Irite, Otura, Irusun Meji, Irusun Ogunda, Otura Osa, Ogunda Irusun, Iwori Odi, Ofun Ose, Oshe, Obara Iworin, and so on. Shaka?
Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe. And this tells us that Ifa promotes order. Ifa promotes discipline.
Benny.
Not only self-discipline, but one's discipline would impact positively on others.
Ashe.
And the Udu excerpt that was just read tells us in Irete Otura that a person's attitude could positively or negatively affect them, and it can also affect others. So there's an essay in Otura Rete that tells us about Olofi, a king. And this king had 2 wives, and these 2 wives once had 2 sons. The senior wife had the eldest son, and the junior wife had a younger son. But as we know, these children were born into royalty. So as per custom in our tradition of Ifa Orisha, when our children are newly born, we do Ifa consultation for them. So when the mother, the senior wife, did consultation for her son, Ifa had told her son that her son would become the next king in line in that community. And the junior wife did consultation, and Ifa told her that she needs to grow her son in the correct and right way, so that whatever he learns now in his foundation years, it would positively affect and impact on the community. So as time had went by, and the Olofi, the king, he became older, and he transitioned. The kingmakers had called the eldest son to go to a particular grove in the forest where they were going to initiate him into the kingship of that community. But because that son's mother did not train him in the right way, did not wake him up early on a morning, did not teach him values, that eldest son was not able to go to that grove at a particular time that the kingmakers had told him to arrive there. But instead, he delegated the role of going to that grove to his younger brother, who, when Ifa had said that his mother must train him well, so when the eldest son had sent his younger brother and he went to that grove, he arrived and met the elders. And the elders said, "But how are you here? We sent for your older brother." The young man said, "My elder brother sent me here." So the kingmakers had then made the younger brother the king of that community. And the kingship had bypassed the eldest one and had went to the younger one. And this Udu is telling us that our attitude affects our success, not just as an individual, but it affects us in our community as well. Because what is supposed to go to you, if you are not disciplined, or you don't have that mindset to be successful, or you are not humble, situations and blessings would pass you and it would go to someone else.
As in Oral Milia, in one of the essays, Oral Milia says, if money should enter the home and we are calm and cool, the money will last. But
yes.
If we are excited and wild, just how the money come, so shall it leave. So it has a lot to do with patience, humility and understanding. And these are the foundations. And Ifa, when you go back and when you study and you sit down next to Deb Babalawo and Ifa teacher, you must be able to sit down next to someone who is competent and who understands, and that you, even when you do hands of Ifa, you can understand, because Ifa says in the 16 laws of Ifa, there are things set out, there are guidelines set out for us to follow.
Sure.
And Iwa Pile is what we strive for, what we need, which is of good character. And the foundation of Ifa is patience, humility.
Sure.
You understand? And we need to follow that. So we continue here on. The other hand, the 4 pairs of characters that fall short of acceptable standard of good conducts, which can easily break the rope of the world in such a way that no one will be able to tie back together, are the following. Anger. This is a bitter and violent feeling against others and or what they represent. This is a negative and unproductive feeling against other people based on real or imaginary reasons. Examples of this type of attitude and what Ifa says on it can be found in Oshemeji, Oiku Ufun, Odi Ogunda, Okanran Otura, Ogbe Ogunda, Oworen Otura, Oworen Okanran, Otoropuni Rusun, Irusun Obara, Obara Oworen, and so on. Shaka?
Ashe. And Ogbe Ogunda tells us, when a person exhibits uncontrolled anger, it tells the type of upbringing they have. Because what anger is an uncontrolled emotion that often spills off into death, violence. It can also make a person do something that they really did not want to do because they are in such an uncontrolled state. And Ifa always tells us as devotees that we must exhibit having coolness and calmness. Yes, things would happen, but you don't put yourself in a way that you would become uncontrolled so that your judgment would become impaired. And when a person's judgment becomes impaired, it impedes their natural, calm thinking process that would allow them to make sensible decisions and to have sensible reasonings. So we need to be calm. Something negative would happen. The first thing a person must ask themselves, if I am a child of Orisha, if this happens to Obatala, what would Obatala do? If this activity happens to Oshun, what would Oshun do? Really? And when we start to internalize the spiritual essence of the various Orisha, when we encounter particular situations, that would help us to move past these destructive behaviors such as uncontrolled anger. Because as an Obatala child, if something happens and it ruffles your feathers, you cannot put yourself in a way that your anger leads you to self-destruction. Because what self-destruction is, it is opening yourself for the ajoguns or the negative energies to manipulate you. And that's it, you know. Sometimes we may be going along the highways and the byways of life. And, you know, the enemy would be seeking us out to fall. And their negative energy is sent out there. And all it takes is a moment of weakness, one situation to make you open yourself up. And when you open yourself up, bodo bam, you get your speed on the highway, you know, you lose control of your car. If someone gives you a bad drive, you might be home in your house and your spouse might do something, you know, and you get so enraged that it leads you, you know, to abuse them, to damage them, even to kill them, you know. And we must be very, very careful because we are in a spiritual and a physical world. So when the spiritual part of us is affected, it would then affect our physical, because the enemies, they are there waiting. So we must be very, very careful. We must be careful. We must not allow ourselves to be so uncontrolled in our actions that it sends us beyond our moral compass. You know? Because we are seeing, you know, on the news where you know, men and women are, you know, engaging in domestic violence. Right? We have just seen over the weekend 2 men in the prime of their lives have lost their lives.
Bitter and violent.
Bitter and violently. And what Ifa says about that, Ifa says, when that time comes, we must transcend honorably. Ifa says, when a person dies with blood coming out of their bodies, it is a dishonorable death.
Ben.
So when a person becomes so enraged that it allows them to be manipulated by the negative energy, that allows them either to become violent and they lose their lives in a violent manner, it is dishonorable. So we must always be in control, so that when it's time to transcend, we may transcend peacefully, and that the ones we leave behind, they must too be at peace because we have transcended honorably. Ashe?
Ashe. You know, I'll just like to shout out some of the people on Facebook streaming on the Shit 919 FM Facebook page. You know, Kelvin Sabero, he's locked on.
Hey, my brother Subi. Peace and blessings, King.
Elizabeth Charles and Louis, she's locked on. Michaela Gomez, long time. You know, also Monche Chad. Michaela Monche Chad is also locked on the Shit 919 FM. You know, we having a discussion here, a continuation from last week on Ifa's counsel and abuse in the family, and we just touched on anger. So we are going to touch on.
But anger is a heavy.
Yeah. I have a call here. Let me take this call. Yeah. Abora boy, Aboshishe. Caller.
Hello, no, sorry. I'm trying to call somebody else. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. That's okay. Blessed good night.
¿Qué pasa?
Yeah. Oh gosh, it's trying to test my Spanish, yes. You know, so we continue here. We're going to touch on hatred, because anger and hatred goes hand in hand, eh?
Yeah.
Anger and hatred goes hand in hand. They work with each other, you know. If Ataishe is also, Atinomu is also on. He says, E.G. Ogbe says, let's not engage in thing with uncontrolled passion, and this because of our eventual passing.
Yes.
You know, if we, you know, I hear people say Ifa, it just come from if I was here, you know, if I here a while, but if we really sit down and put the perspectives about Ifa into our lives, you know, things will be a little more better for each and every one of us.
Ashe.
You know, because I really don't want to talk about that situation on Saturday because it's hurting for each and every one of us.
Yeah.
I know the guy personally. We work together. You know, the Coast Guard officer. And it's rough, tough, but we will get through this. You know? So hatred, and as I say, hatred and anger works hand in hand with each other. Having a great dislike for others or and what they represent, it is a very bad or unpleasant dislike for others. Hatred, having a great dislike for others or and what they represent, it is a very bad or unpleasant dislike for others. Other examples on this issue can be found in Oshe Iwori, Okanran Ofun, Oshe Osa, Iwori Orinin, Oshe Iwori, Osa Oshe, Ika Irosun, Ofun Odi, Irosun Obara, Ogbe Osa, Ogbe Oshe, Ode Otura, Orin Oshe, Irosun Oshe, and so on. So you can basically get this information from these who do. So yes, so Shaka, you want to touch on hatred?
As we are on hatred, what Ofun Odi says, Ofun Odi says that if we do not temper ourselves, if we don't temper our minds, and when we say temper our mind, control our mind, control where we send our ori, it could eventually be led to a place that is difficult to find reasoning with oneself.
Benny.
So when we speak about hatred, we as devotees of Ifa, or even broader, people of this world, because we are people of this world, people of the Creator. When we speak about hatred in Ifa it's a strong dislike, a strong anger and animosity towards a person. Ifa tells us in Ogunda Bede that if we are unforgiving as a people or as a person, if we don't forgive people when they do wrong, and we of ourselves go to the Creator to ask for blessings or to ask for forgiveness, Ifa is saying that if a person is living not up to standard and they go to ask for blessings and they are not forgiving anyone, they are still holding people in their mind. Ifa tells us, in fact, Olodumare, our God, is saying that your prayer would just be an irritation to Olodumare, because it means that you are not sincere in being spiritually in tune and inclined to the Creator. So it means that what you want for yourself, if you want forgiveness for yourself, you need to forgive others. You can't be holding on to baggage 5 years from now. If your neighbor had done you wrong, you just have to do your best and leave it to the Orisha and the positive ancestors to do the rest. We are not saying to let people take out your eye and so on, but all we are saying is what you want for others, what you want for yourself, you must want it for others. If you want forgiveness from Olodumare, from God, or from your ancestors, and you are not forgiving people, then who are you? Then who are you? Because what does Ifa constitute in Ofun Odi as being close to Olodumare? You must be forgiving, right? You must be polite. You must be charitable, right? You must exhibit calmness. You must exhibit patience and all of these things. And if you are exhibiting hatred, it means that you are pushing your spirituality further and further from where it needs to be. And I'll just stop right there.
Yes. You know, so we go on to envy, and that's something that happens in day-to-day life.
Yes. This is beautiful.
And sometimes you get this envy from your own family, your own close friends.
Your peers.
So envy, the inability or refusal to accept another person's good fortune or success. It is a feeling of discontent at others people's luck or success. I'll say it again. Envy, the inability or refusal to accept another person's good fortune or success. It is a feeling of discontent at others people's luck or success. We can also find many Udu Ifa standards and this stanzas on this issue in Oshiobara, Irusunobara, Ofunobara. Shaka?
Let's touch Odim AG, because if we go to touch all the Odus, there's plenty. And what Odi Meiji says, in small loops, we start to build a fishing net. As it becomes completed, it becomes widened. As it becomes widened, it could then swallow a mortar. It could then hold a pestle. It could then hold many fish. Envy, as we link it with Odi Obara, Ifa is telling us to accept what something is. If something is made for a particular purpose, we must let it be. We must let people live their purpose and live their destiny. Ifa has always told us, even in Ogbe Ogunda, that we do not know the head that wears the crown. What that means is, if someone has a destiny to wear a crown, and it is not your destiny to wear that crown, you must give the respect to that person who was destined to wear that crown. Ifa, even our parents long ago used to say, do not envy what someone has, because you do not know what they are doing to get what they have. There are people out there who are working hands up, hands down, who are working 2-3 jobs just to make it in life. And they are making these sacrifices. And it is very much ungodly to envy that type of person and even try to set trap for them to lose what they have. Ifa tells us too that when a person is genuinely successful, we must not try to desecrate their name in Ogbe Ogunda. Because when we do that, it's then we are opening ourselves to be punished by the mothers. We must not desecrate people's names. You might see somebody, they have toiled. They have spent time in school, learning, making that sacrifice, doing without certain things in order
doing 2 and 3 jobs to
make it in life. Do not envy that type of person.
Benny.
You might have a child in a classroom who may be bright, and the other children may seem, to become envious of that person. You just have to find out what is your strength and work on it. Because the moment you start to develop envy is a destructive behavior according to Onwari Oyeku. Envy becomes destructive because the length of time you're spending to study and to meditate on that person is the amount of time going in you making yourself progress. So Ifa is so universal and so positive in letting us know how to live and how to be different in our community. You know what I mean, bro?
That's watching this word called envy, a 4-letter word. It is the feeling of discontent at others people's luck or success. But I just want to go back to what Ifa Taishe Atinumu says here. And what he says here makes complete sense.
Yes.
Anger is negative, but a positive indicator. Anger allows us to identify that there are unresolved issues when a person feels as though they are getting angry. If they are aware of themselves, they can then do self-introspection and start to resolve the issue. You know, so we have approximately 4 minutes before we take a break. When we take that break, I will run a video by Omo Egbe Isheshe group. You know, so don't you people touch that dial. I'm gonna pay some bills. So we just gonna talk about envy until we take that break. You know, after envy we go to wickedness.
Ooh.
You know, envy, and we see it happening day by day. You know, just today a friend called me and he said, bro, he said, bro, I really need some help. When you say in your present thing, just remember. I say, what happened? You know, he used to be on the block and Lime and all that thing, you know. He got a job and he met this lady. They got together, they married, and his life transformed, you know.
Wow.
Because behind every good man, there's a good woman.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And his life has grown. You know, he get a house, he do things. And he went back home to his community. He had a party for his son, who mom lives in that area. You know, he come up just nice. He had a little goal or whatever. And men who used to line with told him, don't come back.
Yeah.
Why? Because he's living good. You don't know what he do. You don't know where he went through to live comfortable.
You don't know the sacrifices the brother made.
You know? And you just envying. Instead of you just saying down on the block, do something with your life. Do something with your life. Don't envy your brother. Take care of this brother. Went to the Ajoguns for success.
What?
And you envy them.
Yeah.
You don't know, because I mean we live in a world today and you see blatant in the face now.
You can put certain things,
you know,
as certain people.
Yeah, we used to see it in the background, just like how they will diss Orisha, diss Ifa, saying good, and look at that. They used to say them Shango Baptist and them, knowing that Shango is the deity. You understand?
God of justice.
And it's easy God of justice.
Facts.
Kabi, you know? So until we get educated and understand life and understand what we are in this marketplace, things will be much acceptable to us.
Sure.
You know? It will be acceptable to us. So I go for a break right now. I'm going to pay some bills and then I'm going to give you guys a video. Sponsors for the Orisha way of life. Kamara's Coltesto, the #1 importer and supplier of genuine products from Africa, located at Adams Bazaar Main Road, Shogunas. Contact number 672-8438, 320-8866. Gossip Gel Polish, gel with a difference. Contact number 382-7587. Come, let us take care of your feet, Petty by Risi. They also sell butters. Contact number 398-4474. Nubian Experience, clothing that tells part of our rich African history. Number 6 Woodford Street, Arima. Contact number 688-1979. Oriumi, Nicole Huggins, Health and Wealth Lifestyle. Number 73 Eastern Main Road, Barataria. EMG out of Texas. Richie's Tire and Automotive Car Care Center. Number 409 Otello Drive, Hampton, Georgia. Sponsors for the Ifa Orisha way of life.
Also sponsored by the Throne of Gold for all your African supplies and clothing. Their contact number is 754-5128. That is the Throne of Gold. You can find them on Facebook and also on Instagram. Omo Inu, all things woman. For all your Yoni products, they are the sole women's haven distributor for Trinidad and Tobago. Their contact number is 365-4332. You can find them on Facebook and also on Instagram. Black Tie-Dye Catering Service, 683-8755. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram. Awo Wabande Tonic, 388-4606. You can find them on Facebook and also on Instagram. Ile Josio Turameji Awoshun. Thank you.
Also, we have the Orisha School of Enlightenment by Nzinga Reid, located in Sawa. We also have Abale Spiritual Store located in Shoguanas.
Daddy, last night I went to a feast, and the things I'm seeing these days is really not like how the feast and them used to carry me in long time, but getting real different. You're seeing a lot of strange things. I mean, compared to a long time, the feast and them used to carry me in. I know they got going out by myself. It's really different, but something I just study how feast used to be long ago for you. How them long time days really used to be.
Well, the first thing I could tell you about is that feast was a solemn and serious thing more than today.
Right.
There's a holiness and a worship in the feast taking place. And according to our teachings, even when I was small, my elders always taught me that in this form of worship, that the first set of people we had to call on was the ancestors. They always dealt with the ancestors first, even from during the week before the feast, before the feast actually started. Yes, they would sing for the ancestors during the feast, but before the feast actually started, they called the ancestors, and that helped to bring the sacredness, the sanctity, as to what feast really is about. And I feel that it was, it was more devotional, but the thing is, the feast began with worship to the ancestors, a veneration of the ancestors, so that we know that we are on a road that our ancestors walk, and we walk in it too.
Right,
and we following them. And so I feel that once that began, and people got into the devotional mood, into the holy mood, into the worship mood, beginning with the ancestors, then the feast had to take a different direction, and people coming would have taken a different direction. And that, to me, is what is missing, because if the sanctity and the worship come in early in today's day, who knows, that might help it. It might bring people back to the seriousness of what the feast really was.
Masha, how you quiet so?
Boy, I know got a little vibes there.
What kind of vibes you talking about?
I know get a nice piece of music in my ears there.
Amiba ori la ogu awa osu iyama iyalo shagbalawa dadawo.
Amiwa ori bela oru awa osu iyama iyalo shagbalawa dadawo.
Amiba ori bela oru awa osu iyama iyalo shagbalawa dadawo.
Amiwa ori bela oru awa osu iyama iyalo shagbalawa dadawo.
Tell me what it is you're hearing now, or you could hum it. Me hear you.
Ah la 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 la.
Where that come out this morning?
I don't know.
You hear that, girl? Let me tell you, Daddy carried me in a feast over 16 years ago. I was still going as now finished right CXC. A lady by the name of Tanti Dainty in Gasperlo. That's the first time I hear that song and the words. And let me see if I can remember the words, boy. Because they don't sing this in Pali, you know, eh? Amiwa ori, bella oru, awa osu, yama yala shakbalawa dada o.
That is the music on out there.
That is the music.
That is it.
Daddy will be the person to really tell you what they used to use that song for and how it used to be sung.
Oh, I want to know where you get that.
That is real old school. That song is a real old school song, but Daddy's the person to explain that song, not.
Well, and that was used to venerate the ancestors even before you started singing for the Orishas at the beginning of feast. It even used to start at the veneration of the ancestors from the week before the feast and every night. But it was also used, it was also sung when they had ancestral pilgrimages, when one shrine used to visit another shrine on an ancestral pilgrimage. So that in our teaching, what we were taught is that in every form of worship, we call the ancestors first. So the feast must be different because we're not starting the feast where it should start. And we also used to use it. There were ancestral pilgrimages in the past from one shrine to another shrine. Ancestral pilgrimage.
All right.
Where they're dealing with the ancestors alone. And that was the first song as they entering the yard. And you're going into the palace. That was the song. But where that come out with you, girl?
No, I don't know.
Them ancestors are wrong, man.
Yeah. You got it, man. What I got to do is to teach all of the rest.
I want to know the rest.
Call me mama for me. Call me mama for me. Call me mama and call me papa and call me mama for me. Call me mama for me. Call me mama for me. Call me mama and call me papa and call me mama for me.
It is now a pitiful place. The chant has become a dirge. When eyes are two, they watch events unfold. When legs are two, they walk with heavy treading. When the behinds are two, they sit on a mat. One hand does not jingle. Also, one leg will not walk with a fast treading. We are all called differently. I am asked to kneel and greet those before me. I knelt and greeted those before me. I am asked to kneel and call on those who are behind me. I knelt and called on those who are behind me. They ask, who are those before me? I say it is one's ancestors. Those are the ones who are before me. They asked, who are those behind me? I say it is the Orisha in one's family that are behind me. When the Ethiopian swallow builds its nest, it is suspended in the sky looking at the Creator and looking at the humans on earth. Atangegere, Kas Ifa for Odushola, the child of Aranashe. whose father died when he was a child without knowledge of how to perform divination, and not having been to Ife for the Ifa festival. When all the ritual materials were gathered, he started crying and saying that he did not know what was to be offered first. Ancestors, descend and make this ritual a success for us.
Eguwala wala mi so, eguwala wala mi bo, koiko karele wo, eguwala wala mi so, eguwala wala mi so, eguwala wala mi bo, koiko karele wo, eguwala wala mi so, eguwala wala mi so. Egun wala mi bo, koiko karele wo. Egun wala mi so. Egun wala mi so. Egun wala mi bo, koiko karele wo. Egun wala mi so. Egun wala mi bo. Koiko karele o, igun wala mi so. Igun wala mi so, igun wala mi bo. Koiko karele o, igun wala mi so. Kan chiwale gun kan chiwalo. Gun kan chualo, kan chubale gun kan chualo, igun bere mi ajare. Bere mi ajare, kori konkoto, koi koto. Bere mi ajare, kori konkoto, koi koto. Bere mi ajare, kori konkoto, koi koto. Igun bere mi ajare. Bere mi ajare, kori konkoto, koi koto. Bere mi ajare, kori konkoto, koi koto. Bere mi ajare, kori konkoto, koi koto. Bere mi ajare, igun bere mi ajare. Bere mi ajare, kori konkoto, koi koto. Bere mi ajare, kori konkoto, koi koto. Bere mi ajare, kori konkoto, koi koto. Bere mi ajare, amiwa ori dela oru awa osu. Iyama iyalo shagbalawa dadawo. Amiwa ori dela oru awa osu. Iyama iyalo shagbalawa dadawo. Yeah, amiwa ori dela oru awa osu. Iyama iyalo shagbalawa dadawo. Amiwa ori dela oru awa osu. Iyama iyalo shagbalawa dadawo. Yeah, amiwa ori dela oru awa osu. Iyama iyalo shagbalawa dadawo. Amiwa ori dela oru lékeléké o ìyá ibẹ̀ wọ̀ ní àwẹ̀ wà o. lékeléké o ìyá ibẹ̀ wọ̀ ní àwẹ̀ wà o. lékeléké o ìyá ibẹ̀ wọ̀ ní àwẹ̀ wà o. lékeléké o ìyá ibẹ̀ wọ̀ ní àwẹ̀ wà o. lékeléké o ìyá ibẹ̀ wọ̀ ní àwẹ̀ wà o. lékeléké o ìyá ibẹ̀ wọ̀ ní àwẹ̀ wà o. àwẹ̀ wúwo àwẹ̀ wúwo àwẹ̀ wúwo àwẹ̀ wúwo lékeléké o ìyá ibẹ̀ wọ̀ ní àwẹ̀ wà o. lékeléké o ìyá ibẹ̀ wọ̀ ní àwẹ̀ wà o. lékeléké o ìyá ibẹ̀ wọ̀ ní àwẹ̀ wà o. lékeléké o ìyá ibẹ̀ wọ̀ ní àwẹ̀ wà o. lékeléké o ìyá ibẹ̀ wọ̀ ní àwẹ̀ wà o. lékeléké o ìyá ibẹ̀ wọ̀ ní àwẹ̀ wà o. àwẹ̀ wúwo àwẹ̀ wúwo àwẹ̀ wúwo àwẹ̀ wúwo kàrẹ̀lẹ̀ dúdú dáwà kàrẹ̀lẹ̀ ọ̀ṣun nìníyàwó. 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 Wale dada kibo igun wale edu wale Ramadan ìṣẹ́rọ ẹlùwáyé 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 ìbò lélelélé sí yàmbá lélelélé sí yàmbá. 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 Bolelelele siyamba, lelelelele siyamba. Bolelelele siyamba, lelelelele siyamba. Aṣabala fẹ́, aṣabala fẹ́, ye aṣabala fẹ́, aṣabala fẹ́, ye aṣabala fẹ́, aṣabala fẹ́. Yeah, Aṣabalafe, Aṣabalafe, yeah, Aṣabalafe, Aṣabalafe, Ojo kamawo karele, Ojo kamawo karele, Ojo kamawo karele, Ojo kamawo karele, Ojo kamawo karele. Ojo kamawo karele. Ojo kamawo karele. Ojo kamawo karele.
Yes, so we are back at it here on the Iwer Way of Life. We're streaming live on the Shit 919 FM Facebook page.
Sure.
We're streaming live on YouTube on Iwer TV. Right, so we just took a little break there and we are back at it. The discussion that you're having, which is a continuation of last week, IFA Council on Abuse in the Family. And in the next hour, we'll be opening the lines for people to tell us what are their fears, what are their problems with IFA or Risha. We want to hear it. We want to hear what you guys have to say. You know, let us know.
In fact, the misconceptions.
Yeah, the misconceptions.
Yeah, you know.
So we continue here. We are going to touch on wickedness. The art of thinking, speaking, and doing evil and or sinful things against other people based on real or imaginary reasons. Other aspects of wickedness can be found in Orin Ika, Orin Meji, Ofunosa, Irete Otura, Oyiku Odi, Shaka.
And Ifa tells us, if a wicked person enjoys or the thought of being victorious over an innocent person today, Ifa says that wicked person would suffer tomorrow. Ifa says in Onwari Ogunda, I wake up and I behave as my Ifa tells me. It is the footsteps of my upward. It's the footsteps of my destiny that I am following. What Olodumare says is what I will do. What my Udu Ifa says is what I would do. I am not a wretched man. I am not an evil man. I would not do or think evil. Ifa is telling us, if we are godly people, we would dispel the thoughts of wickedness when it enters into our mind.
Benny.
And as the excerpt had said, the art of thinking and speaking and doing evil or sinful things against another person based on real or imaginary reasons. Ifa tells us, if a person does you something, take it to the ancestors. Take it before Olodumare. Take it before Shango. Take it before the Orisha and leave it up to them. If you know you are right in a matter, Ifa tells us devotees, you go before the Orisha and you plead your innocence. You tell them, Baba or Iya, this person have wronged me. I believe that I am right in this matter. Please deal with it in the way you see fit.
Benny.
But that's it. If you are wrong and you think for some imaginary reason that a person has wronged you, be careful. Be careful. And this follows too in having uncontrolled anger. We must exhibit that control, not to allow our minds and our ori to be corrupted to do wickedness. Ifa says, if the wicked enjoys today, they would suffer tomorrow.
Benny.
And they would scorch in the hot sun where vultures would peck at their eyes. Ifa tells us, if we remember the late Chief Ga, who was a wicked leader, and what his fate was, all of us would not do evil. If you do evil, that is the energy that will follow you. If it doesn't meet you today, it will meet you tomorrow. If it doesn't meet you tomorrow, look out for your generations to come. Imagine that. It means that we have to be the custodians of allowing our generations to inherit this earth without blemish when we leave it. It means that is our legacy of leaving the earth in a right place for our children to inhabit it. We must leave a good name for our children. And here how it does go, Alat Humishe. If a wicked man is known in the community and they have passed on and they have children coming up, some people often treat the offspring of that wicked person in a particular way because of the sins of the parent. So we have to be responsible not only for ourselves but our children to come, because our name is all we would take into the ancestral realm when we go before Olodumare with our Ikin or whichever stand on that day of judgment. The judgment that Ifa speaks about is when a person transcends and they cross the river to meet their ancestors. The ancestors would ask them, in fact, Olodumare would ask, have you left this earth in a better place than you met it?
What have you done?
Yes, and if you have, and if you have, and if you have an artillery of wickedness that you had done, then Olodumare, then the ancestors, then those you have erred against would come and deal with you in a particular way. Ifa says, if a person kills a person, and this is something that we must listen to, especially in this land of Trinidad and Tobago, where we have 360 something murders and counting. Ifa says, and this is to the gunmen and them, right? I'm not looking for controversy, but hear what Ifa says.
Facts.
Ifa says, if you murder a person, if you kill a person unjustly, that person would continue to visit you. That person would continue to visit you upon the time of your transition. Ifa says that that person would meet you when you transition. Ifa says the person who you had murdered would continue to visit your family and to make things miserable for you. So don't think when you do something under four eyes, or you think nobody did not see. The ancestors of that person saw what you did. Olodumare saw what you did. The Orisha saw what you did. That person's Egbe know what you did. So we must be careful. If we feel that you know, we are invincible and we have material things and it makes us, you know, invincible to repercussions, you are not in the eyes of Olodumare. We must be careful what we do. If you are seeking, you know, to take out somebody without a just cause, think about your generation to come. Think about, you know, your ancestry to come. You know? So we need to be careful. Look at it. Trinidad and Tobago, 365 murders and counting. Right? And Ifa also tells us too about metaphysical abuse and spiritual abuse and these things. And what Ifa says, if you go to some energy or some wicked entity to end the life of a person, that type of energy would be living in your house. You would not be happy. You would not be comfortable. You would begin to develop mental illnesses and all of these things, because what you met to somebody would come and reside with you. So even teachers who are teaching, you know, their young ones, Ifa is telling us too, do not teach your young children to do wickedness. Ifa says that, you know. Ifa says if you have a spiritual child, and you are teaching them, you know, how to do these simidimi thing. Ifa says, if they go out there and they do that, what they do would reside in their house. It would not only reside in their house, you know, it would reside in your house, the person who taught them as well. So we must be careful in the acts of wickedness that we do as a people. You know, so Ifa, nobody cannot say, you know, that they did not know. A true Ifa Orisha devotee doesn't have to murder anyone. A true Ifa Orisha devotee does not have to go to any other power or entity to harm a person. You know that? Alat? Yeah. Umishe? It's very serious. So we need to be careful in what we do, because we do not want, you know, our bad character to negatively affect our generations to come. We do not want that.
Generational.
We do not want that, because sometimes when our children comes into this world, we must be mindful of the things we have done, because we do not want our children to face the hardships of the decisions we made. Because Ifa tells us it is incumbent on the parent, it is incumbent on the father and the mother to ensure that they create, that space and place for their child to flourish and blossom in the right way. Not so, Alatumishe.
Yes, you're so right with that. I like to say, Aborabo ya Boshishe to Ifa Suyun, Babawo Ifa Korode, Oshaleke Asalo, who is locked on from Ibadan in Nigeria.
Pleasant night, Aborabo Ye, Aboshise.
Oshun, Child Orisha says, wow, because we talk facts.
Talk it does bring talkers.
Yeah, talk does bring talk, you know what I mean? So we need to be mindful. Parents, sins are the parents that fall on the children.
Yeah.
So when you're making your pack and your deal, and you want to do whatsoever, and you find your children later down in life, your children going down a certain road, or some tragic accident happen. Remember, when you went wherever you went and sit down to do wherever you do, it is as Shaka says, as Ifa says, if you go to destroy and kill someone, that entity, that energy of that person will live in your home. Right? So, what me say today, thing go past you.
Like a boomerang. It is already out there waiting
you understand? As the young people like to say, they don't say spiritual wickedness, they say zeze. That real slang, Shaka.
Well, boy, I know learn
You know that one?
All the slang.
I'd be watching them on Facebook.
Remember, I live across the mountain.
Yeah, you understand? Say they go and do a zeze and all.
Nonsense.
So we need to be careful. We need to be careful, because you can't want to do wickedness and then go to the Orisha and ask for blessings. So we're going to continue here. We're going to continue on pride. Pride. Pride is a serious one, King Shaka.
Yeah, man.
Pride. A lot of people full of pride. This is a vain or personal dignity. This is an exaggerated feeling of pleasure and subjective satisfaction at one's possessions or achievements at the expense of others' people's feelings or disposition. I'm going to speak about pride again. Pride. This is a vain or personal dignity. This is an exaggerated feeling of pleasure and subjective satisfaction at one's possessions or achievements at the expense of others' people's feelings or dispossession. More on this can be found in Osa Irete, Irite Obara, Oiku Obara, Osa Obara, Ofun Ogbe. Ogun is on, he says about Rabo Yabo Shishe.
Ogbato.
So Shaka, you like to extempore on pride?
And pride. When Ifat tells us about pride, pride is such a behavior that if one is not careful, one could lose, their blessings with having an exaggerated pride. Pride damages a person's ability to be humble. And as Ifa says, humility is the father of wisdom. So if a person thinks they is too big to learn, that would impede their growth towards wisdom. Do not think that one is bigger than someone else. Ifa tells us in Ejiogbe, when all of us were in Orun, we all had respect and we all gave each other that love. But when we came to IA and we came into this physical world, and some of us, developed, an uncontrolled ego. Some of us then began, to feel ourselves bigger than another person. Ifa says, it doesn't matter a person's social status, wealth, or physical appearance. Ifa says, no person is better than the other. All persons are simply different, because one person may have one strength and another may have a next strength. And a person's strength is determined by how much humility they exude. So a person could be knowledgeable, but if they do not balance it with humility, your knowledge would go to waste. So Ifa is telling us that we must control our feeling of personal dignity, and we must not feel ourselves better than anyone. No one is better than anyone. We are simply different, and that's why Ifa tells us that we must give respect to all manner of people, all manner of things. As Ifa teaches all of us to live in harmony. We live with harmony with humans. We live in harmony with nature. We live in harmony with the natural environment. And it's all about developing our good character. Our good character. Don't let your pride or your ego blind you from reaching where you are supposed to reach. People who have uncontrolled pride, they only attain little than where they are really destined to attain. Ashe.
Ashe, I like to say about Shishe to the people streaming on Facebook, Shit 919 FM Facebook page, streaming live on Iwer TV. It's all about Ifa Orisha Way of Life program on the Shit 919 FM. Sherry Ann Gibbs says Ashe.
Ashe, Kale Sherry. Peace and blessings.
Cook Shank says Ifa says we must not judge.
Facts.
Oshun Child Orisha says Asheo.
Is it truth? Let me just touch on what the brother had said here. Because we live in a society where a person may feel because of their social status or what they have as compared to what a person have or a person's situation. It doesn't give a person the right to make them feel that they are better than anyone. Ifa tells us that when a person is going through a particular situation, do not think of yourself as better than that person. Because everyone has a day. Everyone has a day. And everyone day comes.
So I'll be opening the lines now, 3420081. 3420081 7711791. That's my WhatsApp number, 7711791. Where did it come from, boy? Just so, boy?
Don't worry, it'll get you.
4665391, 4665391. Discussion tonight is a continuation. Ifa's Council on Abusing the Family. Call us up.
Yeah. And when we're speaking about Ifa's stance on abuse, it is all these items that we had outlined tonight, from envy to anger to all these negative attributes that allows a person to be abusive. So we must be very, very careful.
So we getting a call here.
Kale.
Aborabo Yabo Shishe caller.
Aborabo Yabo Shishe. Yes, a lot of information tonight. Because with that information, you wonder how people could do wicked things. lack of knowledge, especially the young people that is about now, because they have been indoctrinated. I want to believe that, do whatever you want, carry on how you want, and then you just say, Jesus forgive me and God forgive me and all is well.
Facts.
But it's not like that. And you have to be mindful. When you know the price you have to pay for doing, I don't know how people could take life and do evil, because you take a person's life, you stop them from doing and acquiring and achieving and doing and living their life. So you have to pay for that. You are responsible for that. And the other thing is anger. That is something else. As I've heard it said, that anger is an evil trance, that when you get into it and you eventually come out, you want to know how come you did that.
You become possessed. You become temporarily possessed.
That's exactly it. So we have to be so very careful. What you do, you pay for, and this is what is needed to be told. Not that you can do what you want and just beg for forgiveness and whatnot. No, that is one thing by itself.
Facts.
For forgiveness, that is another thing.
You say something here, and it really stick on me. You do something, and you say, "Forgive me, Father, for what I have done," and that you intend to do that all the days of your life, but not do the right thing.
You understand? It is a serious life. Is serious. How you could just go about doing what you want and just come and say, "Okay, forgive me"? No, it's not like that. You pay the price, and I don't know how people can do evil and do wicked because they're in ignorance. You understand? They say it comes back to you. Some say 10 times. Some say 100 times worse than. You take a life, you take that energy from that person. You have to be responsible, The young people need to hear this. Thank you so very much, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, yeah.
That's Iya from Barataria there.
Peace and blessings, yeah. Thank you.
Always contributing very good. She's one of the folks that really miss the program, and the discussion on abuse, abuse comes in many different ways. That is why we had it spill over to this program tonight, because it is why, and even looking at it today, you might run into the finishing, next week. So we're going to touch on intolerance. This is the inability or refusal to bear or endure other people. It is the unwillingness to allow others to hear their views or express their feeling in any way and or any issue, as long as it is different from their own views or opinions. Again, I call it well, I lost that one. More on this can be found in Toropuni Wori, Ofunu Iku, Ogbeotura, Iwusun Iwori. Shaka.
And intolerance. Ifa tells us about giving respect to the birds, to the trees, to the man from our next nation or country. As Ifa says, we must not be intolerant to other people to the point that we are disrespectful.
Benny.
Because every person has a role to play in this world. If, according to Okara Onwonri, Ifa says that Olodumare, the creator, is the universal spirit guiding this world, every single person on this green earth has a mission.
Benny.
So if you are intolerant and not respectful of a person's mission, then you are disrespecting Olodumare. So we must give respect. We must tolerate people. Ifa says, and in fact, our national anthem says, here every creed and race finds an equal place. So what belongs to the Ifa Orisha man, let it go to the Ifa Orisha man. If it goes to whatever denomination, give them that respect. We are not to pelt stones at anyone. We are not to harm anyone or desecrate anyone's spiritual places and spaces. We must give people that respect. We want respect, we must then act in a respectful way. We must not execrate people's spiritual places. We must not cut off people from hearing their views. If our children have to go in the public schools, it must be their constitution, their constitutional fundamental right and their spiritual right to pray in the way of their spirituality and the way of their ancestors. That is showing tolerance.
Okay. This person keep getting some problems.
Yes.
With their phone line. I just want to touch on Ifa Sayo Ilubion says interesting discourse. Since time immemorial, the misinformed has considered our tradition to be synonymous with negative, impeccably timed show. Iwer.
Thank you, brother.
You know, and that is where we opening the lines to get understanding on why people had a problem with Ifa Orisha.
Allow me share another thing as we are on the topic of intolerance. Our children would have, spiritual items on them. No person has the right to remove a child's ide on their hand or a child's eleke. That is being intolerant of their spiritual practice and their spiritual discipline that they have to practice. Nobody has the right to take off, an eleke off your child's neck or an ide. It is not the function of a teacher. It is not even the function of a principal. Give respect to all. You give respect to every creed and race finds an equal place, and not all of us would practice things in the right way. You give respect to the man in the workplace who is practicing his traditional rights. You give respect.
Sorry. Yes.
Ashe.
And we're going to touch on our next. I mean, all the topics and all the headlines here, huge, very huge. Judy James says, Ashe. Ashe to you, also Judy James. Selfishness, Shaka.
Ooh.
Selfishness. The thinking and planning of one's own personal pleasure, satisfaction, achievement, aspiration, etc., without any consideration for other people. Selfishness. The thinking and planning of one's own personal pleasure, satisfaction, achievement, aspiration, etc., without any consideration for other people. Many more on this unacceptable character can be found in Otuwa Orin, Ogbe Oiku, Iwori Okanran, Irosuno Orin. Shaka?
When we had done, the essays that came out of Okanran Oshe concerning what was divined for the Ifa devotees for the year 2021, Ifa told us that we must not be selfish. And Ifa spoke about persons who would be seeking to take everything that is meant for the entire country or the community and take it for themselves.
Yeah, right, so true.
Ifa is not about individualism. Ifa is about community. So things that are meant for everyone, a person who is so in that position to distribute, it is wrong in the eyes of Olodumare. It is wrong in the eyes of our ancestors to take what is meant for someone else and take it for yourself. Ifa tells us too, selfishness. If you know that a man or a woman, if a woman has a husband or a man has a wife, and you so selfishly go after a man's wife or a woman's husband knowingly without that adult consent with the next person, and you do that is a direct implication on your character going forward to be judged by Olodumare. You don't be selfish. You don't put yourself to damage what is meant for other people. If someone is to be happy, you allow them to be happy.
Ben.
You don't put yourself in place to damage a person's peace of mind. You don't take what is meant for someone else for yourself. It have another thing to back on abuse. Be careful. We seeing on the newspapers that certain people advertising come back now and this and that and all kinds of charms and isms and schisms. That is not of Ifa. That is not of Ifa. If a person is seeking to go in some place to metaphysically trap another person, that is not of Ifa.
Them things don't last.
As you say, those things don't last. You don't go and invoke negative energy to hold people down. Let people be. Don't be selfish. If someone is so desirous to move on, don't go in no bad house for them to stay. Or don't go in no bad house to wipe out, the person who they are happy with. Allow people to be. Allow people to be happy. And when when a person does that, once a person does that, happiness would meet you.
Benny.
Because it says, if I says, what you want for yourself, what you want for yourself, you must want for others. So if you want to be spiritually free, don't try or to go in some place or to tie down a person. That is not of Ifa, and that is not the ways of our ancestors. Abura boye.
But Ifa Taishe Atinumu says, Ifa Juhun, greed.
Oh God.
Greed. Greed again, I say it, 2 times. A lot of greed in the marketplace, The desire for all the good things of life for oneself only at the expense of others. It is the desire to convert what belongs to many to one's own alone without any consideration for the feeling or needs of others. That just goes with what Shaka says concerning the Udu Ifa for 2021-2022 going forward. Greed. They said it, and Shaka just said it. Greed, the desire for all the good things of life, for oneself only at the expense of others. It is the desire to convert what belongs to many to one's own alone, without any consideration for the feelings or needs of others. We can also see more of this character and the position of Ifa in it in Irusun Ogbe, Ogunda Irusun, Kanran Ufun. Shaka?
Simply as it is. Ifa says greed is a destructive behavior. And we have seen what greed have done to our society from since time memorial. What is meant for others must go to others. Do not take what belongs to someone else for yourself. And greed causes people to lose their life. And we will touch back on H. Yogbe. H. Yogbe says, when we wake in the morning, we must look up, knowing that what we have done yesterday is positive and that it would bring us blessings today. So if you know you are greedy and you have done a greedy act today, a greedy person would meet you today and will take what belongs to you today. So Ifa is telling us to give that positive blessings, and we would reach where we have to go. Abu Rabo, you.
Daniel John says here, this is Baba Mello.
Oh, hey, Baba Kale. What you say?
Aboro Aboye. as a Babao, I have 3 wives and they are giving me problems. If I go to my Ifa and tell them what Ifa says, they will say I am manipulating what Ifa said. Where can I or any Awo, male or female, go for reconciliation?
That is a beautiful question, and I applaud Baba for bringing this example here.
Baba Mello, you know, I need next week Monday to interview Baba Mello over WhatsApp for the first 15 to 20 minutes. They have something going on. They're planting and trying to get the youths involved up at Piaco. They have a fundraiser coming up for $100, you know, for a ticket or barbecue to help out now. So we're going to touch on that next week, you know.
Yes. So he said that. Now again, we would say it again. Ifa is the universal language of Olodumare, of the wisdom of Olodumare to mankind.
Benny.
Ifa is not, you know, about confusion. Ifa would assess. Olodumare knows of a person's situation. So Olodumare would prescribe what a person could do to have reconciliation with their spouse or their spouses. Ifa is not about confusion. Ifa might say, yeah, what? Offer sacrifice to the person's Ori. Offer sacrifice and pray so that that person's Ori would begin, you know, to internalize and understand what is taking place. It's not, you know, that Ifa is not seeing a person's situation. Sometimes a person would go for Ifa consultation with problems in their marriage or problems in their domestic homes. And Ifa is seeing the problem. So Ifa, I'd say, you know, us like in Iwori Ofun, Ifa had said, Iwori washed the head of Ofun to receive blessings. That's how it is. So Ifa would give that prescription to allow a person to understand what is being said, because sometimes a person's Ori at that point in time cannot understand what is said. So that's where the patience comes in. That's where, you know, the understanding comes in, because we must be patient in all things. Sometimes if I would say something and sometimes we might expect to see it today, we must be patient. If I would say, all right, a man and a woman may be compatible, and you run one time and say, yeah, if I say we compatible, even though if I said that, you must still use wisdom to approach the person. Use a wisdom to assess that situation, because you can't just put things on people. You can't give babies dumpling. You can't give babies dumpling. You give babies, you know, the little
funky
arrowroot. You give them, you know, the breast milk, things that they could take. As Oshun child Orisha is asking there, well, if I separate a couple, if a person is not for you or not in your good or not in your life for the best interest, it would not work. But if I would give you the choice by telling a person what would happen down the road, so that person would have to make that choice. Ifa would give you the blueprint, and it's up to you to make that choice. But you can't give babies dumpling. You can't force people to understand the word of Ifa. If I say this and that, you give them.
They have a part to play with.
Give them
with what?
You give them baby food until you know they understand. Reconciliation and Ifa would happen only when that person's Ori accept. Only when a person accepts the prescription given by Ifa.
Just 2 weeks ago we touched on that.
Yeah, your Ori have to accept. So if a man has a wife and her Ori is not accepting certain things, don't seek, to engage in quarrel. Don't do that. Don't do that. We are spiritual people,
Just to touch on some of the comments here, Ifa Taishe says, when someone initiates to Ifa, they must take Ishu Dara matters seriously. This is so true. Do your ebo and watch your character and leave it to the Yumale. Baba Melo says here again, King Shaka, you are correct. Ifa would always give the answer, but our community need the elders to establish counseling centers and halfway houses to facilitate for those who would go to another Baba and be taken advantage of, young and old. So we speak about this night on the Ifa Risha way of life. So just continuing on what we're saying here. Those who have these attributes are also known to display the following traits and contribute immensely to their being of unacceptable conducts in the family and the society where they live. They also help in no small ways in making life more unbearable than it previously was. For example, the major consideration of these type of people is self before others. They believe in satisfying their selfish ends at the expense of their siblings and neighbors. They have little or no care for the instructions of Ifa. They believe in only love for themselves, alone at the expense of their spouse, children and other members of their family. Whenever there is any form of misunderstanding, they ensure that it is resolved in their own favor, even when they are wrong. They know how to intimidate their partners and others' family members into submission. Their eyes, ears, and brains are close to their partner's feelings and emotions. They have little or no respect for their partner's likes and dislikes. Selfishness, pride, arrogance, and vainglory does not allow him or her to be aware that he or she does not know it all. That is why he or she does not see the need to move with the right people in order to emulate their good character. He or she feels he or she does not need any other person's opinion in anything that he or she does. That is why he or she does not feel the need to seek advice from others. This person does not see the reason why he or she should love, respect, or promote his or her partner. He or she takes joy in reducing or denigrating his or her partner. He or she sees no reason why he or she should not cheat, betray, or disappoint his or her partner. Since he or she cannot forge a loving relationship with his or her spouse, he or she has no respect for his or her parents and those who are older than him or her, as well as those who are placed in positions of authority over him. He or she lacks self-control and discipline. He or she is harsh and is high-handed. He or she uses harsh words on his or her partner without caring whether he or she hurts his or her feelings or not. He or she has no care for anyone in his or her mind. He or she does not appreciate good efforts, and he or she highlights mistakes committed by his or her partner. He or she also has no care for those who are close to him or her, and to strangers who he or she is meeting for the first time. Whenever he or she shows love and care, it is out of ulterior motive. We speak about this earlier on.
Yeah.
He or she does not give love, respect, care, understanding, or any form of assistance without expecting any returns. He or she has no forgiving mind. He or she is always ready to capitalize on the mistakes of his or her spouse. Shaka, you will continue?
This person loves and promotes peace, harmony, understanding, and development for self, at the expense of the community. He or she has no consideration for his or her community. He or she is known for the following: welfare of self without consideration for others, engaging in confrontation with anyone in order to have the upper hand at all times, finding solutions that will be in his or her favor on all issues, taking spur-of-the-moment decisions without prior investigations of all sides of an issue. And Ifa tells us in Iwer Meji that a person is considered a wicked elder or a wicked person if they rush to make a judgment without hearing both sides, succumbing to emotions or sentiments without objectivity or principles, acting with bias, and allowing him or herself to be tempted into taking selfish decisions, especially if there is going to be undeserved gains for him or her in the end, taking unilateral decisions on issues affecting many people in order to ensure that he or she benefits more than others at the end. Consult with all groups, both youth and elders, and identify with positive aims and objectivity and objectives. Fuels crisis and discord. He or she has no respect for how others feel as long as there is a diabolical, mischievous gain and pleasure to achieve, applying his or her judgment to the benefit of himself or herself at the expense of his or her groups or community or the society at large, lacking trust for anyone and not knowing when not to delegate authorities. All these are what lead to this disaffection and acrimony in the family. That is why those at the receiving end of these attitudes feel disappointed, disillusioned, and betrayed. What are the things that constitute abuse? In order to understand what constitutes abuse, there is a need to first define what brings harmony and love into the family. From the above all mentioned, it becomes clear that all the things that any member of the family does not promote: genuine love, respect, harmony and peace, understanding and progress, which do not hinder the progress of peace of others outside of the family, are acceptable conducts which Ifa supports. Abuse of any kind, therefore, are those negative thoughts, speeches, actions which truly and genuinely leave members of the family physically, emotionally, socially, mentally, economically, psychologically, spiritually, metaphysically, ideologically abused. These are the actions that Ifa does not tolerate, and by extension, the ICIR will never condone. The reason why the Ifa Council needs to fight for the victim of such abuse, whether a man, woman, or child, is that it is the act of betrayal, disappointment, deviation from the aspects of good character, as highlighted by Ogbe Alara. The victims of abuse. The victims of abuse of any kind can be men, women, or children in the family. The important thing that we must understand is that abuse of any kind eventually leads to trauma. The effects of trauma on the victim are better imagined than experienced. The following are possible effects of leaving an abusive setup. Powerlessness. The victim is left to feel that he or she has no means or wherewithal to defend him or herself. Such a victim will end up either accepting or rejecting such condition. He or she accepts the condition, he or she will resign him or herself to the fate and continue to suffer and die in silence. Hopelessness. Part of the ways of coping with an abusive condition or resigning to the fate is for the victim to feel that his or her situation is beyond redemption. He or she may then decide to live the rest of his or her life in pain, agony, disappointment, and grief. Meaninglessness. This is the condition where the victim cannot understand what had happened to his or her dream of living a peaceful life in his or her relationship. The victim lives in a state of confusion, desperation, and anomie. Normlessness. The victim who experiences trauma in his or her relationship feels disappointed, either that those who are supposed to intercede on his or her behalf have closed their eyes to his or her suffering, or that there is no machinery on the ground that can give him or her respite or sanctuary. These feelings usually lead to disappointment and hatred for a larger community where the victim resides.
Valuelessness.
Valuelessness. The victim feels that there is no more value in his or her life or relationship. Instead of pleasure, he or she has experienced pain. Instead of hope, he or she has encountered despair. Self-estrangement. The victim of trauma withdraws completely from the community after having lost hope and respect in such a community. He or she carries the grudge, bitterness, and disappointment that the community to which he or she belongs is not listening to one. He or she also feels that even if such a community listens and sympathizes with his or her plight, there are nothing that they can do to redress his or her situation. People belong to organizations such as the International Council for Ifa Religion in order for them to have a family. This is a time that religious families need to ensure that they do not fall victim to such abuse. And if it happens, the family will rise up in support. So this is telling us how dangerous abusive situations can be within the domestic household and what it does to our community and how it affects us living, the aspirations of having Iwapele. And Iwapele is how we conduct ourselves, how we behave, how we interact with others. It's our good character that follows us until our time of transition.
Really. So we're gonna just touch on what the council can do and ought to do in the following situations. When a member of the council is abusive towards another member, it is the duty and responsibility of the council to launch an immediate investigation into the situation and in the interim, provide support and protection for the victim as appropriate, call the abusive member to order, explore all avenues for reconciliation and normalcy in the family. This may include counseling and talk shops, mete out appropriate advice and or disciplinary measures as the case may be to be culprit. When a member of the council is abusive towards a non-member, all members of the Ifa Orisha community are advised to encourage and support their household to be members of the council. This will help in bringing family cohesion, love, peace, harmony, and understanding. I'm going to read this again. When a member of the council is abusive towards a non-member, all members of the Ifa Orisha community are advised to encourage and support their household to be members of the council. This will help in bringing family cohesion, love, peace, harmony, and understanding. However, if one of the people involved in this condition is a non-member of the council and he or she had reported that any member of the council is being abusive towards him or her, the following steps are advisable to be taken. Annie Dickey, we will get on to you. We will message you. I'm seeing you. Launch an immediate investigation into the situation. Treat the matter objectively without bias or discrimination. Call the abusive member to order. Explore all avenues for reconciliation and normalcy in the family. This may include counseling and talk shop. And I'm going to go right back. I'm going to go right back to what Baba Mello says. King Shaka, Baba Mello said 14 minutes ago. King Shaka, you are correct. If I would always give the answer, but our community needs to need the elders to establish counseling centers and halfway houses to facilitate for those who would go to another Baba and be taking advantage of young and old. You know, Baba Mello just said that. And look, we are seeing it. You know, explore all avenues for reconciliation and normalcy in the family. This may include counseling and talk shops. Now, ensure that all steps are taken to prevent the abusive member of the council from giving the council a bad name and or reputation. When a non-member of the council is abusive towards a member of the council, whenever this type of case is reported, it is a duty and responsibility of the IFA Council to rise up as one family in the defense and protection of the member. The following steps may be deemed necessary. Launch an immediate investigation into the situation and in interim. Provide support and protection for the victim as appropriate. Call the abusive non-member culprit to order. Ensure that the victim of abuse who is a member of the council feels a sense of belonging that the council provides him or her. Explore all avenues for reconciliation and normalcy in the family. This may include again counseling and talk shops. Guide and support a member who is a victim of abuse from the beginning of the end. You know, and it goes on and on and on.
And you know, a lot, Umishe, even in communities where we may see, you know, people going astray, from the young ones, you know, to the not so young ones, we have people in our communities who is respectable. Not so. And from when I grew up, in my community there were 4 elderly women. And just the other day I was reminding a friend that when there was a disturbance in the community, you would just see on an evening these 4 elderly women, they would show up. And they would then, you know, seek to investigate why, you know, these 2 neighbors were having a falling out. And they used to bring that balance, you know, because as Ifa says, we must work actively to ensuring harmony. We must work actively to ensure that there is harmony in our spaces and even where we live. And IFA is strictly against, you know, not helping people when they reach out to us for help.
Many.
Right? And nothing is wrong with referring a person if you know you can't help them. Right?
Yeah.
IFA says that. IFA says if someone reaches out to you and you cannot help them, you could refer them to someone who is competent. And if someone comes and they ask you, you know, to listen, you give them a listening ear. You give them that listening ear without being judgmental, you know, without damaging, you know, that confidentiality. You know? Asheo.
So the lines are open for the next 5 minutes before we close. You know, so you guys can call us on 3420081, 3420081, 4665391, 4665391. My WhatsApp number is 7711791. Reach out to us. The lines are open for the next 10 minutes before we go to the VSOP live broadcast.
Hey!
So that brings us to the end of another beautiful night of the Iwer Way of Life program on the Shit 919 FM. King Shaka, your host, my host, and yours truly, MC Duke Alatumishe. You know, we had a beautiful time. May Olodumare guide and bless and protect us. May the keeper of the crossroads, the one who carries our prayers, open the doorway for our prayers to go to Olodumare, Baba Yeshu. May he continue to help us, to protect us. May they not trick us, but may he trick them. May Baba Ogun continue to clear the pathway. Shaka, anything in closing?
Give thanks, give thanks, give thanks. I thank Olodumare for giving us, you know, the opportunity to hear the positive word. And when we hear the positive word, may we be the changes that is positive in our community. Each one teaches one. Ashe, peace and love. May Olodumare continue to guide us multiple fold. Ashe.
Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. So we're going to leave you with a song by Banjela, the reigning young king champion.
Yeah, man.
See you guys next week, Monday. Guys, dance, peace, and blessings.